My name is Robert Green for the ones that don't know me. I would like to take this time out to just welcome you down to Mount Zion MB Church. Okay, is this in order? Okay. Once again, I would like to invite you all down to Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you all for coming. And I want to take this time to thank Mayor Travinsky for hosting this Metro Charter meeting. At this time, I will yield the floor to Deacon Ed Granberry to do invocation. And after Deacon Ed Granberry do the invocation, and he will yield the floor to the chairman. I thought the chair lady would be Miss Chrissy Smith, but that's okay. We got Chairman Mr. Joe Barton in that order, and we'll go further in that order. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. May we bow our heads. This evening, Heavenly Father, once again, it is a few of your children that have assembled themselves. Father, we come to you just trying to tell you thank you for being such a good and merciful God to each and every one of us. Father, we want to thank you for allowing us to go to and fro to earn our daily bread. Thank you for the mind that we had to try to enter this endeavor and be successful. Father, we ask that you be one in the midst with us tonight. Have mercy upon us. Open up our mind and our understanding that we might be able to agree to disagree and have loving hearts for each and every one. Father, let none of us go away here angry, but Father, let us be at peace with each other. It is these and many other blessings we ask and thank you in your darling Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Again, we welcome you to give you a quick reason for our chairperson's absence tonight. I would ask that you all remember her in your prayers. Her mother passed away, and that's why she's not with us tonight. So you've got me. And I can't tell if this is on. Is it on?
It's on now.
It's on now. Okay. We're glad that you showed up here tonight, because what we're doing is really important for the entire county. We want to hear as many questions, as many comments as you care to give. We are here to serve the people of Haywood County. That's what we were asked to do back in July. And I think none of us really knew exactly what we were going to be tasked with till we really got into the details of it, and then it really began to take a life of its own. There are not too many times in a person's life that you get a chance to literally write a form of government. I know I'll never have that opportunity again in my life, nor will the rest of the commission. So I looked at it as a great privilege. Whether you're for it or not for it, it's one of those things that as Americans we get to participate in that is a privilege. I'm going to ask at this time if Miss Kathy Ward, she's going to give you some comments regarding the history of the Charter Commission.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Ward. I lived in Haywood County. Thank you. I lived in Haywood County for 40 years. I work at Techno-Apex Haywood Company. Just want to give you a little background of why we're in the middle of writing a Metro Charter for Brownsville and Haywood County. Our current form of government was established in the 1700s, and it's dictated by the Tennessee State Constitution. And that's very well spelled out and regulated by the state of Tennessee. In 1953, the state of Tennessee decided that it would be a good idea to give communities like Brownsville and Haywood County an opportunity to have a unified or metropolitan form of government. And so that option was out there, and some communities have taken advantage of it and gone that way, and some have stayed like they are. And in Haywood County, we're already so unified with so many things already, with our school system and parks, and there's just so many things that are already unified that it was a pretty easy step for Haywood County. We're not like Gibson County, where they've got a bunch of little towns all over Gibson County. We've got Brownsville and Stanton and Haywood County. So, you know, there's just we're already pretty much already unified. So a study commission that was formed in 2012, and for a year they looked into the benefits and the disadvantages of a metro government. And after that year of study, they made a proposal to the city of Brownsville and to Haywood County that, hey, this looks like it would be a really good thing for us to do. And they brought it to the city council and the county, is it a councilman? I always get alderman and councilman mixed up. But the councilman and the alderman, and they voted yes. They said, yep, it's a good idea. That's all we need to do. So then Mayor Joe Mathern and Mayor Franklin Smith selected 15 members from our community, these folks up here, to write a charter that would work for Brownsville and Haywood County. So that's where we are. As we looked into it, we see that there's a lot of redundant services that, you know, the city does and the county does. And if we can combine them, you know, it'll be more streamlined and more efficient. We can, you know, share our resources, you know, of our people, our property, all the things that we as taxpayers, we own it, but we just need to be able to use it in the best way possible to make our county better, to save money on the overhead of our government. So that's where we are.
Good evening. My name is Jim Bell. I lived in Haywood County all my life. I'm employed here at Techno Apex Haywood Company in Brownsville. I serve on 10 different boards and committees throughout the community of Haywood County. My task today is to inform you about the effort of Metro throughout the U.S. and through the state of Tennessee. The first consolidation of the U.S. was in New Orleans. New Orleans Parish in 1805. Between 1958 and 1961, there has only been 15 consolidations voted in Tennessee. That means there's only been 15 that has got a charter together and been voted on. Throughout that effort, there's only been 3 consolidations throughout the state of Tennessee. You have Nashville, Davis County, 1962. You have Lawrenceburg City, Moore County in 1988. You have Harville, Trisdale County in 2001. About 1% of the government in the U.S. are consolidated, only 1%. The studies of consolidation of governments, the attempt of consolidations are few. Most of the data is based on, but one study does say in the finding of no cost. But on the balance, it shows that significant economic development has been done throughout the consolidation. That's all I have.
One thing I'd like to do that I neglected to do was to introduce the commission members that are here tonight. If you'll stand as I call your name. Charlie Tripp is on the commission. Mr. John Duckworth, Miss Patricia Taylor, as you've already been introduced, Mr. Jim Bell, Mr. Rick Bowden, myself, Tim Stokely, Kathy Ward, as you've already met, and Mr. Clinton Thomas. It's not that these two guys doesn't matter at all, but they do. Of course, he's the mayor of Stanton, and Michael was hired by the commission as our attorney and legal counsel. There are a few procedures that I want to just kind of lay out so that we can keep things very orderly. As I said, we look forward to hearing your comments and your concerns, but we've got to kind of lay some ground rules so that everybody has a chance to be heard. Each person that wishes to address the commission will have 2 minutes to do so. You can be heard a second time as long as everyone in this room that wishes to address the commission has done so at least once. Now, you can't necessarily come back and hit the same topic. It has to be a different topic. So, in other words, for example, if you have 2 questions and you don't have time to get those out in that 2-minute time, you will have a chance to come back and get those out. Miss Patricia Taylor is going to be our timekeeper. She will flip up, she's printed these nice little things out to tell you when you have 15 seconds left. So, believe it or not, when you're standing behind a microphone, 2 minutes is a long, long time. At this time, I want to hand the microphone over to Michael. He is going to give us a summary of the charter draft that we have today.
Thank you, Joe. Just to give you a quick summary of the bullet points of the Metro charter that's been drafted, to let you be familiar with in case you hadn't looked at it online or printed off a copy. The Metro Council, which would be the governing body, would consist of 10 members, which would be one member elected from each of the current county districts. They would be elected for 4-year terms, and these would be staggered terms. Candidates must be at least 21 years old and a resident of the district for which they're going to run. Each council member must obtain 15 hours of continuing education on governmental issues each year. The chair of the council must be a council member and is elected every year by the council. Items must pass the council by a majority vote, which would be 6 of 10. The council must have at least 1 regular meeting each month and can certainly call special called meetings. And the Metro Council can override a veto of the mayor with a 2/3 vote. The Metro Mayor would be elected for 4-year terms. No term limits on either the mayor or the Metro Council members. A candidate for Metro Mayor must be at least 25 years of age and reside inside Haywood County. The mayor does not get a vote on the Metro Council, but the mayor can veto ordinances within 10 days after the passage, but must present a written reason why he or she vetoed it. And the Metro Mayor cannot serve as the chair of the Metro Council. The executive departments, these are essentially the constitutional offices of registered trustee, county clerk, and assessor on the county side, and would also be like the city clerk and some of the functions that are performed at City Hall. They would be combined into the Department of Finance, which would be the office responsible for many things, including the collection of taxes, the daily writing of the checks. You have the Department of Property, which would essentially take on the Register of Deeds, as well as the Assessor of Property duties. The Metro Clerk, which is kind of a combination of the City Clerk and the County Clerk's positions. The Department of Public Works, which would involve roads, solid waste, parks and rec. Department of Public Safety, ambulance, fire. Department of Human Resources, which would help handle all of the HR needs with the number of employees that will be employed by Metro government. And then you have the sheriff. The sheriff is elected. All the other departments that I named are not elected. They're appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the Metro Council. The sheriff, however, would continue to be elected, and the sheriff is guaranteed the jobs of running the jail and serving process. And the sheriff can also be appointed by the Metro Council to be the chief law enforcement officer of Haywood County, or Brownsville Haywood County Metro government. All of the appointed positions, Department of Finance, Department of Property, Metro Clerk, Department of Public Works, Department of Public Safety, and Department of Human Resources would require a bachelor's degree or equivalent experience. And like I said, those are appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, and they can also be terminated in the same manner. There's such a thing called an urban council, and that's caused some confusion, but the urban council is made up of 3 members from the Metro Council, and those 3 members must live within the city of Brownsville, or the current city limits of Brownsville. The only function that the urban council serves is to set the tax rate on what we call the urban services district. And the urban services district will be composed of the city of Brownsville, since they receive enhanced services that are different from the rural county residents. They would have a different tax rate, very similar to the structure that we've got now, where you have a city tax if you live in the city of Brownsville, in addition to paying county taxes. The education system current school board structure would be retained with 5 elected board positions. The school board members must be at least 21 years of age and live in the district in which they decide to run. The director of schools would be appointed by the school board, and the school board performs the same functions as they do now. Education was left unchanged. Amendments to the charter can be proposed either by the Metro Council. They could be proposed by a petition of 10% of the people who voted in the last gubernatorial election. And then a committee can be formed to make recommendations. All 3 routes to amend the charter eventually have to be voted on by the people during a special referendum. Stanton, the town of Stanton has the vote when this comes up, when Metro comes up for a vote on a special referendum. The residents of the town of Stanton can either vote to become part of Metro government, or they can stay independent. If they decide not to become part of Metro government and to stay independent, then the current city limit lines would be frozen. Any of the provisions in the charter that relate to Stanton are found in an appendix, which is attached to the back of the draft of the charter, and state law required us to do that. We didn't put Stanton to the end on purpose. A few miscellaneous items. There would be only one taxing authority, which would be Brownsville-Haywood County Metro government. However, there would be 2 tax rates, very similar to what we've got now. County residents would pay a lower tax rate because they receive different services. City residents would pay a higher tax rate, but you would only get, city folks would only get one tax bill, and it would just have the higher tax rate on it. All districts except District 8 are comprised of city and county residents. All zoning ordinances, resolutions would continue as adopted now until the council changes them. So the zoning in the county stays the same, the zoning in the city stays the same. Nothing changes as far as that goes unless the Metro Council at some point in time down the road changes it. All employees, city, county, and school employees can choose to stay with the current benefits or opt to choose benefits provided by the Metro Council. The positions of constables is abolished. Brownsville Utility Department would continue as is unless modified by the Metro Council, and the Highway Commission would be abolished, and those duties would be absorbed by the Department of Public Works.
And making his grand entry now is another commission member, Mr. Tom Archer. Better late than never, Tom.
Come late to be recognized.
Up here on the table, we have copies of essentially what are highlights, because the charter in and of itself, I think, was 30 some odd pages long, right? And that's great reading if you want it, and we have copies of those also. But if you want to catch the highlights, then we'll certainly make the shorter handout available to you. We'll take a few moments before we get started to kind of establish what is unique about this charter. When we first began this, we talked with several people who consider themselves to be professional charter writers. And the norm across the state when this has been done or attempted to be done is that you hire a person who has written charters in the past. Well, being the rebellious Haywood Countyans that we are, we said, no thanks, we don't want to do that, we're going to do it ourselves. And in essence, that's the path that we took. Had quite a number of people come in to give us insight, and in essence, we had one citizen say, just start with a blank page. And that's kind of what we did. And we came at this kind of from a civics 101, what we learned possibly back in high school. This form of government mimics our present federal form of government and our present state form of government, in that you have an executive branch and a legislative branch. Right now, we have that in the city of Brownsville. Now, I'm not familiar exactly what you have in the city of Stanton, but the county of Haywood and its government structure is not particularly set up executive legislative. Much the same way the governor of our state will appoint someone over agriculture, someone over education. There's the same approach we took to this particular charter. you have an executive person, which would be the Metro Mayor. They would then in turn, through proper channels, appoint someone that would be over the Finance Department, that would be over Public Works Department. So it's not, we didn't reinvent the wheel. We certainly looked hard at different ways, but what is very unique is doing it this way, because most of your cities across the state that have a city government and county government presently do it the way we've been doing it. There's not, from what this commission found, the proper set of checks and balances in place that this charter offers. So the uniqueness is one that the positions that we have known since 1796, because that's when the Constitution was put in place and that's when we started doing it that way, are done away with. And that's caused a lot of alarm because people say, well, you're taking away my voting right. Well, the truth of the matter is your county trustee and your county clerk and your register of deeds and your assessor of property make no law. They are not legislative in any content of their office. They are strictly an administrative function that work for us. The second thing that makes it really unique is why we're here. Because Stanton charter, the provisions in the state statute allow for a special services district. Now, in many of your larger areas with much more population, possibly where there's a commercial airport, that's typically where the special services district gets plugged in. An airport authority, for example, who may receive some of the services that the people in the city do, but perhaps not all. But the way the statute's written and the way things are, we can treat Stanton as a special services district,
Urban Services District.
keeping it the same, is it urban or services?
Urban Services District.
Special, urban,
No, just an urban service
If they
district.
opt in.
urban services district. As you can see, there are a lot of terminology that goes into this, but at the end of the day, basically that means that we all become part of the same entity. And that's something that the voters of Stanton will have to decide. We hope we can take any questions and exhaust all of that tonight. I'm sure there'll probably be some residual questions, things lingering in your mind as to is this a good thing, is it a bad thing? When I first was asked to do this, I was pretty apprehensive about the whole Metro thing. I didn't see why we needed to mess with something that wasn't messed up. As I got to looking at it and looking at it deeper and deeper, I equate it much the same way. We have, in essence, three entities: the city of Stanton, the county of Haywood, and the city of Brownsville, both doing fine jobs at what they do. But they're three different entities, and who's to say they're all on the same page with the same vision going in the same direction? I think this could be something that joins everybody together, something that gets us all on the same path, with the same vision, with the same direction. I told a group the other night this: it's going to change whether we enact change or not, because many of our elected officials are getting older, they're going to retire, new people are going to come and run. It's going to change. It's just a matter of we have an opportunity, I think, to decide just exactly how we want it to change. So at this time, the floor is going to get open. Whoever wants to come and have comments or questions, please do. We welcome you to do so.
Joe, would you
Yes.
just mention when the effective date would be?
The effective date is not until 2018. Yes, that seems a good ways off, but where we are in terms of time, for example, if someone wants to run as a county commissioner this year, we didn't feel it was really right to let that person run and then cut that person's term short by 2 years or whatever. So we thought, because we have such great turnover, the way our election system's set up, pretty much it's the new apple cart every 4 years. We felt like we should let those terms run out to avoid any confusion or any problem down the road. So that's why we extended it to 2018. Now, there will be a transition team that goes into place prior to that, beginning the transition effort to make all of these departments merge together so that we can function as one unified government.
And when would it come up on the ballot for the record?
Right now, if our present timetable stays intact, and believe there are more and more groups asking us to come speak, and we want that. At present, it looks like we're probably going to submit or file. You have to file this particular charter, and then you have 80 to 100 days before it goes on the ballot. So if we file it sometime the 1st of February, which is, or second week or so in February is what we're thinking, that means it will go on the ballot in May?
First part of May.
First part of May. One of the reasons we're trying to do that is because the election machines, if we don't get, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but if we don't do this, we have to rent machines because all the other machines are going to be taken up for the regular election, and it would just be something that would cost taxpayers more money. And we just didn't, it's not a cheap adventure either. What is it? It's a few $1,000s, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just to get those machines to set them up where you can vote, and we just didn't feel like we wanted to spend the taxpayers' money like that. So it's open, y'all come, please.
Well, let me be first. Maybe that'll get the ball rolling. Once again, good evening.
Good evening.
Patricia, I can't see your card, so if I go overboard, you tell.
Call you out.
I have some concerns, and I've been sitting on the sideline observing. As a county commissioner, I don't know if I'm gonna pick up a petition for this election, but for sure, I'm like Mayor Smith. Someone say I'm getting old, I am, and I thank God for that, but I will not definitely be running for, in 2018. My concern is 10 council and a mayor. I am troubled by that. My opinion is I do not like that. Michael, you said something also, and I guess this would be my question, when it comes down to taxes. I pay 2 taxes. I live in the city of Brown. You say the city will go higher. Well, out of 16 years as a local politician, and I look around the city of Brown where you have a lot of senior citizens and a lot of citizens that own their own home that's on fixed income. How would that affect those individuals if it gets much greater than what it is? Now, smaller government, I don't know if that's the best thing. A lot of things that I think gonna come into play is the unknown, and I am concerned about the unknown. I voted to move this, start this ball. I voted to start this charter. And I thank you all for doing a great work. You all have done a lot of work here.
Commissioner
But I'm
Green,
concerned.
interrupt you, telling it's 2 minutes, but I think he can continue.
Is my time up?
I interrupted you right in the middle of your statement. Do you want to finish? I just want to tell you it's 2
Well,
minutes.
I was finished. I just gave you my concern, and my only question was the concern about the taxes as well as the people that's living in the city limits of either Brown or Stanton.
Yeah, and Robert, let me address that, and I may have misspoke, but I certainly want to clarify. We don't know that the taxes in the city or the county are going to go up. Joe Barden has run the numbers and actually thinks that they'll go down. What I was trying to say, though, is just like we currently have, your city residents pay less taxes because they receive less services. Your city residents receive more services and therefore pay more taxes. And that would continue to be the same. The city residents that receive more services would pay more taxes, but I'm not saying that their tax rate or their taxes are going to go up. Does that make more sense?
Well, like I say, you know, the few people that I was spoken with concerning this, I gave them, you know, what I thought, based on, you know, just what I'm hearing. And very little was said about taxes. I know taxes have been brought up, but very little was said. I know you have to pay for this service, be it like we are or if it be Metro. It have to be paid for. The money have to come somewhere.
Right. Essentially, your city residents, if you added your county property tax rate and your city property tax rate together, that's what the city residents would be paying, just like we are now.
Right now, in the county, if you're a county resident, 1 cent basically contributes $33,000. This is for the population of the county. $33,000 to the revenue source of the county. 1 cent in the city contributes about $13,800. And it didn't take me long to do a lot of math, because when you start diving into all the various different departments, both in county and city government, I just didn't want to go there. But the simple math is this: if in a metro situation you have 1 mayor, not 2, well, between benefits and salary, that's about $100,000 right there. There's going to be some combination of departments. As we said, if it were to pass, there would be a finance department that would cover take every dollar that, as a taxpayer, you give in and turn around and take care of all of the daily, monthly expenditures. By doing that, you're combining, in essence, 2 offices, both those offices that Trustee House has now and the city clerk, Jessica Fry, has. Now, there's going to be a salary at some point, because Mr. Sonny has already said, I'm going 1 more term and that's it. Now, could there be somebody else that we need to put in that office? Yes, it could be. What I'm saying is, when you merge these things together, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 cents that would be reduced both in city taxes and in county property taxes. I guess the one thing that it's been a misinformation. There's been a lot of concern that citizens are going to be forced to take services in the county that they presently don't have, and that's not at all what this charter does. But the simple math, if you look at it, it's 2 things coming together. There's going to be some savings there. Someone else. Commissioner Green got the ball rolling. Yes.
Just to address a couple of the issues I think that you have. One, remember that this commission nor this charter will set tax rates. The tax rates that you will be paying, just like we're paying now, both in the city and the county, will be set by the people that you elect either on the city council or the county commission. We won't, nor can this charter set those tax rates. So that's still going to be the same. You're still going to have the commission setting the tax rate, plus the Urban Services Council that will be setting the additional tax rate for the city of Brownsville. So when you make your decision how you vote, and to me, I'm not asking you to vote for it or against it, but just realize that the charter itself does not, nor can it set the tax rate. The tax rate will be set by the people that you go to the ballot box and elect, whether it be in a metro form of government or in the current form of government. Secondly, the question that you brought up, Commissioner Green, concerning the number of commissioners, I've had several people bring that up to me also in just day-to-day conversation. Remember, this is a draft that we're looking at now. Nothing is set in stone. So that is something that can be and probably will be revisited by the members of the commission on the number of commissioners. One idea that has floated, and I'll just put it out there, because it should be public record from reading our minutes, is go to 15 commissioners, with the 10 as it's set up now, and then adding a commissioner as an overlay for the school district. So where right now we elect 5 school board members, with basically two county commission districts being 1 school board member, to have a total of 15. So there's a lot of different thought being put into how many commissioners. And so that, along with everything else, this is a draft that we're going with, and if there's enough feedback that there needs to be change, we will certainly, I can't promise you that things will change, but I can promise you that we will look at those things.
Well, can I rebut, or should I wait till the end?
Well, let's wait and see if anybody else, and then certainly come back, Commissioner Green. I'll make a note that you do.
Make a note on that.
I'll make sure.
15.
Anyone else?
I have a question. You said that they're changing and combining all of these positions, but when I was on the research committee, I was told that no one was going to lose their jobs. So therefore, how is that going to save any money? If you still combining committee, you've got the city doing this job, you've got the city doing that job. It takes a person all day long, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week to do the county's work, and same thing for the city work. You combine these jobs and stuff, but yet you're not getting rid of anybody. How is this saving any money if you're not?
Well, the money savings right off, if you're through. So, okay. the money savings off the bat didn't go any farther past that mayoral position that I spoke about and the position of trustee, which has already been publicly known that he's going to retire. Let me emphasize this. No one is going to lose a job. With this thing in its present state, nobody's going to be given a pink slip the day this thing was to go into effect if it were to pass. But what you are going to have, or you are going to have folks like Mr. Sonny House who are going to retire. And you're going to have that throughout this, but at the trustee the level, all the way down to the guy who runs the backhoe for the highway department. The commission's hope is that you would have an administration in place that sees that you're going to have people retire, but manages the resources the best that they can. Right now, we have, at the city level, basically your city clerk is doing a human resource job along with the city clerk's job. So by creating a human resource department, yeah, we're going to add a few jobs, but we also feel like there are going to be a few jobs by 2018 that people are going to say, it's time for me to go home, I'm ready to retire. It will be the administration's charge to see how they best handle that. Now, we've had some information regarding a lack of secretaries in various different departments, and there's just not enough budget money to put them there. Well, you might have an abundance of secretaries in another department or a particular time of the year where you could move those resources over to this person, this department that needs them. So it's a better management of resources is where your savings come from, not necessarily termination or elimination of a position. But we had a very heartfelt conversation about making sure that nobody was going to lose a job when they walked into this thing. That's certainly not our intent.
One other aspect to this is that the same amount of work is going to be there regardless. You're still going to have, we're going to generate the same amount of garbage. We're going to need the same policemen, maybe more. We're going to need the same firemen, maybe more. None of that is going to go away. Our streets are still there. They're going to need to be repaired. So I wouldn't look at this as a way of eliminating people or reducing. I think what Joe is saying, that there's a natural reduction that might happen due to retirements and people just moving on. But I can't see, and I may be wrong, but look down the commission, there may be some other, I don't believe that any of the work will go away. We still have.
That's what I'm.
We still have. So if you're worried about people going, I can't see.
I'm not worried about that. I just don't understand how they're cutting the budget.
You have, as I said, the top tier, number one, you got 100 some odd thousand. You're going to have a combination in the finance department alone. But the other thing, and this is where I stopped digging into the numbers, but when you combine public works, both county highway department and the city, you're not going to having to buy this many dump trucks for county and this many dump trucks for city. You're not going to be having to buy this many garbage trucks and solid waste, and same thing for county. So solely in the equipment alone, and the reason I'm speculating on this is because of what I do I'm in construction. I know about capital expenditures and how often you got to replace equipment and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to be operating on that's theirs and this is mine, and we're going to petition for a new garbage truck this year. You start utilizing one another's capital resources out of the gate. And that's small money when you're talking about what the mayor makes and half of a salary of what possibly the county trustee makes. When you're talking about a garbage truck, that's $250,000 for every one. A dump truck's going to be $150. A backhoe's going to be $85. I mean, then you start combining that with annual maintenance and other things. I mean, it doesn't take long before the math begins to start saying this points towards saving. Now, I kind of stopped at that point because I thought, do I really? That's not what I was asked to do. I was just simply asked to write a charter, and so that's what we've done. Not try to tell the new government, if it passes, how they're supposed to do things. If you could, ma'am, come to that. We're actually streaming live, aren't we, Carl? Yeah. So that way, and state your name. That way we can get it for the record.
I'm Emma Delk, and I was a part of the study. And my question is that if Stanton decided to keep their charter and see later down the road that we can't make it on our own with our charter, what would happen to Stanton then? Thank you.
That's a good question. What would happen is that Stanton would have the option at some point in time, if they realized that they either wanted to be a part of metro government or couldn't survive on their own, they could surrender their charter and come into metro government. And this gets a little bit technical, but you know, it might actually be a benefit from a tax standpoint. If Stanton votes to opt in to metro government, then they get taxed the same as the urban services district, which is currently the city of Brownsville. Okay, so the urban council, when they meet and they set the tax rate for the urban services district, that would apply to the town of Stanton residents as well. If they decided later on to give up their charter and come into metro government, say 3, 4, 5 years down the road, then they could come in as a special services district, since Stanton may not receive as many of the services. That me? Since Stanton may not receive all the same services that the city of Brownsville receives, they should have a lower tax rate, so they could come in as a special services district at a lower tax rate. But yeah, Stanton does have the option to come in later on if they decide not to at the special referendum.
So does that happen in the county? Is the county retro to that, or is that just the city of Stanton?
I don't.
City of Stanton.
I don't understand that. If I think I do, it's just the city of Stanton.
Okay.
Since you're on the subject of tax.
Can you come up here to the microphone and identify yourself?
Yes. Educated and proper in the house tonight. I had one question, really 3 questions. That one over there, well.
Speaking of taxes, and there's a tax sale going on in Haywood County, and it's spearheaded by Brownsville. Stands a rattle. What can you say that you can do to stop that and prove that? I've heard some wonderful things about y'all plan. I like it. I mean, it's sweet. I've told somebody. But can you bag it up? Will you bag it up? Will you prove that the government be by the people and not by a group of people? John F. Kennedy, that's what I'm talking about. Not what the country can do for us, it's what we can do for the country. The people need to decide what's best. So, on that note, and then there's some rumors, some words on the street that if sell poor people houses, where they gonna go? Then that's government on TV saying they saw it like Memphis. Went out and got some people, put them in a hotel. Mississippi turned around, done the same thing. Put people up in a hotel, poor people. Haywood County has a tax sale. Then put people out the house instead of putting them in the house. What we're faced with, asteroids and storms. If we don't do the right thing, we're gonna get decided. It's gonna decide for us. Right now we got the ball. I'm hearing some wonderful things. I'm seeing some wonderful progress. I'm loving every minute of it. But it's about the people why we're here tonight. And we can't prove that Jesus lives unless somebody stand up for the poor people. I bet you tonight, if you can prove that you got government for the poor, as well as everyone else, give them a chance. We got a bad economy, it's been proven.
One thing I'll say, as we looked at implementing a human resource department into this charter, and there have been several people that have asked, well, how can you, a very dear friend of mine, Gloria Sweetlove, asked this question at the last meeting. How can you say that this charter gives people a better chance of having a position within Haywood, the Metro Haywood government, than what we have now? And if any of you have ever worked in a factory or something of that nature, or anything that has a human resources department, there's a lot of channels you have to go through to meet muster. You have to be vetted to be qualified to get that job. Right now, and I'm certainly not pointing a finger at any of our present government officials, but right now, it is far easier to get a position within any of our present government entities than it would be under this, thus making the playing field a whole lot more level for those who are qualified for positions, rather than being someone else's friend. So when questions come up, or how is it for the people, I mean, this 15-member commission, we didn't agree on everything, I can promise you. We had many heated debates, but at the core of every single one of our meetings, and this is what's astonishing to me, because it made me hesitate to even want to be on it, because I thought, oh, here we go, we're going to fight and fuss and all this kind of stuff. But the well-being of a Haywood County citizen, and when I say Haywood County citizen, that means you live within the geographic area of Haywood County, whether you live in Stanton, City of Brownsville, wherever, but that the well-being of each citizen was put first. So if this thing passes or don't pass, I feel like as 15 members of a commission, we've done a lot as a people group, I think. Somebody else, come on, please.
You brought up a point that really was heavy on my heart, because you're looking for efficiency, and if you are hiring your best bud who's not qualified, you are not going to be successful at creating an efficient government. So if there's a resource department, and we have jobs that are posted, and anyone in the county can apply for these jobs and receive these jobs according to their credentials, we're aiming at a better government for sure. And attrition is a good way to let people go. So I think those are some real positives. I don't see us saving a lot of money, but I would like to have a list of what you think are the pros and cons. And definitely that 10-member council is too few. I think that's one of the big things that are going to have to change, because we all want to be represented.
Yeah. Commissioners, I feel like I'm hogging the mic here. Does anybody want to say something?
Ma'am, I did want to say that when you talked about the qualified people in our government, that was one area that nobody on the commission disagreed with. That was one thing we were all unified and agreed upon. We wanted to make sure we had qualified people and a fair system for hiring, retention, disciplinary action, that because we want, we understand that our government officials are an important resource for all of us. We put a lot of money into their training, their education, and we need to keep those good qualified people, but we also need to, if somebody's not doing their job, we don't want to wait for 4 years so they have to come up for re-election. We want to be able to show them the road. So, thank you.
Mr. Jones.
There's one other thing I want you to remember, that we are losing approximately 100 persons per year in this county. And if you think your taxes isn't going to go up, you must be addressing the idea of losing some service. So this form of government do not tell you that our taxes go up. But by you thinking about what's going on, you should know that your taxes is going up.
Thank you, that's a very good point.
Nobody else, I'm coming back. I've heard a lot here. Am I in order to come back?
We got one more before you, Commissioner.
Y'all let me know.
You're next. I'm Ward Elwin Smith, live here in Stanton, and here's my primary concern. You said the mayor will be elected for 4 years, and then he appoints a committee. And this committee is in charge of what? I haven't heard anybody say. Are they over the county commissioners? Where do they fit in here? And why are they appointed and not elected by the people?
Is that, you through, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. The mayor is elected. The 10 council members are elected. The, is it 5 or 6 departments? Finance, Public Works, Public Safety, 6 different departments. Those departments, for lack of a better word, they're people that are hired to be put over them, but they have to go through both human resources. The mayor then appoints them to a 10-member council. The 10-member council has to approve them by a 2/3 majority to be hired for that position. So in essence, whoever runs your public works, for example, if he is a qualified man who understands streets and roads versus the mayor's good buddy who just happened to lose his job, the guy who knows this stuff is going to be in the top of the line to get the job versus the other way around.
Well, who's sorting out this council? They're just appointed by the mayor.
No, they're elected.
Now, the 10-member council, the ones that put the final stamp on a person being hired, is they're elected.
No, sir, I was referring to this 10-person council. Somebody had that.
No, sir, we may have been misunderstood. There's a 10-member council that is elected, that is a representative from each district, which we have 10 districts in the county. And that 10-member council, along with the mayor, are the ones who hire the department heads.
They are a public elected.
Yes.
Publicly,
Okay.
yes.
It's just a 10-member county commission.
Okay, thank you.
They are all elected.
So they're not appointed.
The 10-member county commission is elected from each district. They're not appointed at all.
Well,
That's the vote.
I had a total misunderstanding because I thought it was being said appointed.
No, you have 20 county commissioners now. Every district has 2 county commissioners. You have 4 aldermen for the city. You combine them only down to 10, where every district will only have 1 person representing them. So you will still vote for District 8 and 9. You have only 1 person representing you, whoever comes out of District 8 and the person that comes out of District 9. So it'll be the same thing. Whoever your county commissioners are now, you have 2. There will only be 1 for District 8 and 1 for District 9. That is the ones, the 10-member council. Those are the ones that will, when the mayor appoints somebody, they have to bring it before the council and they have to approve it. And it does have to go through the HR department to make sure that they're qualified. And don't always say that the person has to have a lot of college. It has preferred experience. So preferred experience is if you have any experience with the department, running that department. So you don't have to have a 4-year degree. You can have experience too. So that's not knocking out someone who has been doing that job for X amount of years. So that you still will be able to get the best qualified person.
So for clarification, like Sam Matthews and Leonard Jones has been in our area, we would just have 1.
You just have 1. Same way with Jeffrey and Ms. Martin.
Right.
You only have 1. And those will be the ones that will represent Stanton, Haywood County.
And they also approve the appointments by the mayor, or can disapprove them. And have to go back through the process again.
It would only be proposed to the council.
Joe, do you have the numbers about the breakdowns of each district and how many people are in each one and how many they would represent?
In terms of population?
Yeah, and then, kind of as a comparison, the number of commissioners, like Nashville, Davidson County is a lot bigger than Brownsville,
Yeah,
Haywood County.
each commissioner would represent approximately 2,200 people. Whenever they redrew the district lines for Haywood County, they've done a really good job. But the greatest disparity in terms of population numbers between any district is 300 people. So they all hover around the 22 to 24, 2,500 people per district. And so basically you're going to have a 1 to 2,200 some odd people, 2,500 people ratio of representation, which is far more representation than you get from your present state senator or state congressman or your present United States senator or United States congressman. I mean, again, the commission was not completely agreeable on the number of commissioners. What we looked at was how many people do we think it would take to help govern between 19 and 20,000 people. And not only that, we put some things in here that require those council members, those elected members, to go through required education. Every year they have to have 15 hours of continuing education. And we put that in there because no longer can you just get voted in for popularity and go up there and sit there and never have an engagement about the process that you were elected to do. That's an effort to try to keep commissioners and council members aware of what's going on at the state level. Because when you have an elected group that is aware of what's going on at both federal and state level, what's happening 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, it gives them a much better position to act on our behalf than if you have people that are kind of disengaged with what's going on at the state and federal level. Sooner or later, something's going to happen, and we're not going to like it as constituents. Our elected officials aren't going to like it, but we're just going to have to tough it because that becomes the law of the land. So there was a lot of debate that went into that number, and it's certainly a question that's come up many times. So we're not, is anyone else that wants to come forward before we yield the floor to Commissioner Green? I told you I'd write your name down. I got it written. Hey, we have one more back here.
Can you hear me well enough?
Well, we'd like for you to come forward, sir, so that the rest of the...
My question is, we were discussing the other day, not long ago, about the status of the exit 42.
Can we have your name,
building
sir?
and reconstruction that's going on there now.
Can we get your name?
Okay, my name is Durant White.
Okay. Go ahead now. I'm sorry.
So we're going to get designation as a rest stop as far as tax dollars are concerned. Hello?
I'm listening.
We understand that. All of us on the commission, we know the problems that are going to come from that activity there at Exit 42. But the city of Stanton, unserviced as it is by the city of Brownsville, will not be able to contain some of the traffic that comes through here based on that exit. But my tax dollars in the property in the county has gone up every year since I've been here, since '93. I pay more taxes in the county than anybody in the city pays. But we get as little services as the city of Brownsville, the area of Brownsville can afford. That's the excuses we get. And I'm not alone. Okay? So if all of you concur about these issues and there's nothing been done to increase the services that some have lost or have never gotten, then it'd be time to, even the scales on this tax thing. I mean, ours could stop going up. Bring everybody else up to par. Hello? Bring everybody else up to par, and we can get to the point where we want to get. Am I right, John? Okay? We can't get a pothole fixed at Charleston Road, man. A year at a time. Okay? We cool with that? Everybody?
Very good point. And none of us. I try to stay up to date on different things that go on in the county, and just as a citizen. But hearing first about this Exit 42, and there may be others at the table that know about it. I just don't. But that's a perfect example of various ones living across the county from each other, not knowing what's going on with their neighbor across the county and how it's affecting them. None of us want our taxes to go up, and I agree. I mean, I agree completely that, something's going to change. We're either going to affect change or we're going to receive change. I think, Commissioner Tripp.
First off, I have not heard anything about a rest stop at 42. I have heard of expanding the exit, especially when the mega site that we're all hoping for comes. And of course, there's going to be an expansion and a lot more traffic coming off. But as far as it's a rest stop, I have not heard anything about that. As far as adding any kind of rest stop or anything there now. There is going to be an exit for the solar farm for people to kind of pull off and look, but it is only there. You don't go anywhere else for the solar farm. I mean, you exit, and it only is in one way, I believe, and it's only on the eastbound lane. I don't think you can exit. I might have it backwards, maybe westbound. But there, you don't go anywhere from there once you exit just for the solar farm. No other connected road or anything. The other statement, and I don't know how you were informed, you made the comment that you live in the county and you pay more taxes than anyone, more than in the city. We are, somewhere you've been misinformed there. I mean, okay, I live in the city. I pay the same Haywood County taxes, the same rate that all of us in the county pay. The same rate that if you live in Stanton, the same rate you live out towards Danceville or the north part of the county. It's all the same rate. I live in the city of Brownsville. I pay that same tax rate. Okay, those in Stanton, in the city limits, pay an additional tax rate on top of that same county tax rate. There is no way you can live in the county and pay more taxes than somebody living inside the city of Stanton or living inside the city of Brownsville. That somebody has misinformed you there, and I don't know where that came from.
I think you just said so. I think you just said that the city.
So living in the city, you pay more
Than you do in the city of Brownsville.
No.
There's no real good reason for it. Their services are not there.
Now, in Stanton, the additional tax, Stanton's city limits additional tax, and the mayor can confirm this, is less than the additional tax of living inside the city of Brownsville. The city tax rate for Stanton, which is on top of the Haywood County tax rate, in addition to the Haywood County tax rate. I mean, you pay Haywood County tax, you pay that whether you live in Stanton or in Brownsville. Now, the city of Stanton's tax that somebody in the city of Stanton pays in addition to Haywood County tax. Now, the city of Stanton tax is less than the tax for living in the city of Brownsville for their services. A Brownsville resident will pay more tax, city tax and county tax, than a Stanton resident currently right now paying Stanton city tax and Haywood County tax. If you don't live in the city, though, you don't pay any city taxes, either Stanton or Brownsville. By living in the county, you do not pay more taxes than somebody living in the city. It's the reverse. It is.
I'm assessed differently. Look to your left. They're just as surprised as I am sitting right here.
You're assessed the same. You're assessed the same county tax rate. You're assessed the same county tax rate as I am assessed the county tax rate living in Brownsville. But I pay an additional city tax that you don't pay.
Unless he lives in the city of Stanton.
I'd like to just lay out again one more time. This charter does not address taxes, nor can we address taxes. I feel for you, brother. Every time I pay my tax bill and I live in the city of Brownsville, I feel for you. I don't want to pay anymore. I didn't want to pay when I lived in St. Louis, Missouri. I didn't want to pay when I lived in Detroit, Michigan. But, may I finish? This charter that's being written does not address taxes. It cannot address taxes. It will not address taxes. The only people that can address taxes are the county commissioners and the city council members that are currently sitting in our current forms of government, or the county commissioners in a metro form of government, period. They're going to, they can, if they choose, whoever you elect, they can buy 10 747s for the Haywood County Airport that we don't have, and you know, tax us out the wazoo, or they can fire every employee as far as taking the tax rate down to nothing. We can't pay anybody, we have nobody. That's the commission's job to set the tax rate. This charter cannot set the tax rate, cannot set the tax rate. Only your elected officials in the current form of government, or if you choose to elect a new form of government, be it a metro commission, can set the tax rate. we can't set the tax rate.
Are we ready for Commissioner Green? Wait a minute, we have,
It's her second trip.
I think part of this issue is lack of services in our area. We really have a lack of services out this way. And back to the 10-member council, you're numbering the individuals, you're counting people. We're spread out. And it's hard for, one person to cover all of us because we're so spread out. If you're concentrated, your numbers are concentrated, you don't need as many people. But when you're spread out, you do need a few more people. And when he made the reference to rest stop, 42 is a rest stop. Okay? I live over there by it. It's a rest stop. And it's going to get worse. But that's my issue with the 10 member is how spread out we are. And people, everybody just doesn't know what's going on. And you just need the numbers when you're wide spread out.
thank you. And if anything, well, we have another coming here. If we do nothing more out of this than get everybody to the point where they hold their elected officials accountable, we've accomplished something. Ma'am?
I'm a citizen of Haywood County, a resident of Stanton. Mayor Tabinski is my mayor. I just want you all to put all of this stuff in layman's terms, where I'm a senior citizen. I don't understand everything, but some things I do. Layman terms, the pros and cons of what we would benefit from merging to Brownsville. Layman's terms, so we can understand. You all understand what you all are talking about. We as, well, most of us, but in layman's, put it in layman's terms. Okay, the cons that I'm concerned about. Okay, if we all merge to Brownsville, what changes will be made to our city for, say, our post office, our zip codes, our mail routes, stuff like that? Give us some layman terms of what our everyday living will be like.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that.
Zip code stay the same?
I'm going to try to address this as simply as possible. What we have drawn together here is a written form of government that puts the things that is presently in the law in the state of Tennessee, that the law says we have to operate this way. To answer your questions, boil down to really not whether this is passed or not. It boils down to what are your present elected officials going to do? What is your present mayor going to do? Your present county commission? Those are, because even though we might pass this, and this gives us a structure, basically it gives us a set of rules to know that we're operating a government and not breaking the law doing it. Everything after that gets put in place has to do with those elected people and whether or not they do a good job for us. But forgive me for not understanding exactly, I don't know what department you'd go to address the mail route, because that's federal government, and it was hard enough just dealing with local government, but I'm pretty sure that the federal government deals with the mail routes. But to answer your question, ma'am, in a simple form, we put together the bones of the makings of a great government, almost the same government that our founding fathers put on the books. Didn't put a whole lot in it that restricts us. Didn't leave a whole lot out that would let us go crazy. It really boils down to who we put in office and how much we hold them accountable, and whether or not we want to see things change. And as I said, if nothing else comes out of this, and we come out of this as a citizenry that's been educated, and we start putting our foot down saying, you know what, how come we're losing 1,000 people every 10 years when we have a census? Because if we keep going at that rate, our tax base is going to dwindle to the point where none of us are going to have any choice. I mean, you can't operate the same thing you're operating with less money. So the goal is to turn it around, to make Haywood County look like a place that we want to invite neighbors to come live in, grow the tax base. And this is not the fix-all. This is just one step, and in my mind, of about 15 different steps you'd have to do to get to that point where you could make Haywood County enticing for other people to come to. And I'm getting on a ramble here. I don't know where I'm going. Commissioner Green, please come to the
Thank you,
mic.
sir. And I'll be brief. I am still, and Dr. White brought it back up. There's 10 members and the mayor running a population of less than 20,000 people. And fairness, you know that pie when you get a slice of it? Now, you mentioned something about 5 members. Now, that's going to be at large. If that take place, will those 5 members be voted on? Will they be appointed? Next thing, Mr. Duckworth, you say we're losing our people. I agree with you. Now, we've been aware of this. You and I left, and we came back. I left in '67 when I graduated. I came back. But we have been knowing this. Just because we go to Metro Government, it still don't mean that we're not going to lose people if we don't change the mindset. What will a smaller government would benefit not only Robert Greene at my age, but my children and my grandchildren? Because when I came on the county commission, I asked a question. Do we include young people? Young people have ideas. What Robert Greene might think that someone like might not be it. So I don't want to be closed-minded to Metro government, but how will a smaller government be less costly based on what I know about county taxes, being on the budget committee? I don't know the city. I don't know the town of Stanton. And I do not lack 10 members, which at any point in time, 6 people can make a decision for this whole county. I don't think that's fair. And I will close. Thank you all for the service you did. But I had to get this out because they're just Robert Greene opinions. We can agree to disagree. And I want to say you all have been good and on your job. And I appreciate it. Either way this go, I appreciate all the council members. But leave here knowing that Robert Greene is concerned. Losing sleep over this here 10 members and a mayor, making all the decisions for this county. I heard something at the first forum, but I won't repeat it. You all know what I'm talking about. Think about it.
Commissioner Green, we want to thank you for your service to the county also. It's much appreciated. To your question about these 5, that is I use the term a theoretical number. We're just talking about different options other than 10, whether it be 20, whether it be 5, but whomever is going to be on the county commission if we go to a metro form of government will have to be elected by the people. And I do not envision an at-large election. I would envision, and now this is just Rick Bowden making a comment, not the board, but I would envision you taking in some form or fashion, if you didn't go to a 20-member such as we currently have in the county, where you have 2 from each district, each of the 10 districts, that you would take an overlay some way like the school board districts or some other fashion where there would be equal representation. So everybody would have 2 representatives, even though one representative may have more, double the population as others. But I can't answer that. We're still in the process of doing that. Now, you did bring up the thing about we're going to progress or we're going to fall back. Now, a couple of things. One, I've found out in most cases people have their minds made up on how they're going to vote well ahead of coming to a meeting or everything else. They're going to vote for Joe or they're going to vote for Sally or whatever. And you're going to change very few. And that's fine, because what I want it to be is a vote of the people of Haywood County, whatever we're going to do. But I will tell you, from a person who moved here in December of 1997, And will retire this year and plans on continuing living here too, because I think it's a great place to live. Even though I'm not from, as I say, I'm not from here and may not ever be from here. I love it. I love Haywood County. But when I moved here from St. Louis, Missouri in 1997, I came from another company that I worked for a number of years. And I was on the other side of the mega site type of business. What I did several times for my former employer is we went out to find a new place to build a new plant. And let me give you a little bit of insight. We were not given by different states, different sites to go to and say, okay, these are great sites. We were given sites to go to, and there would be economic packages there for us, but we had our own checklist. And the checklist was, we tried to eliminate every site. You know, we didn't go in and say, well, boy, we want to move a plant to Brownsville or Haywood County or to Jackson or to Medina, or to Knoxville or whatever. We would go into the site and say, okay, what can you do for us? And every obstacle that was put in front of us was a check mark against that. And I will tell you, the more governments you had to deal with became a bigger obstacle. So if I have Haywood County with 3 governments, let's say I'm out here at the mega site, and I've got 3 governments that I have to deal with, Brownsville, Haywood County, and Stanton. And in talking to these 3 governmental entities, I see they're not all on the same railroad track. That's going to be a mark against them. If I have one entity to deal with, as you talk about the one-stop shopping, that's going to be a mark for us. So while I'm not asking you to vote for or asking you to vote against the metro government, I'm just saying if we're going to attract new business and industry into the county, especially where you have a city and county. Now, I know there's people out there that don't want to have any industry attracted in, don't want to have that thing, and that's fine. Then, that's probably what we're not going to have. But I'm just telling you that one of the things that makes it work easier is to have less government entities to deal with. On the other side, if we do get a mega site, a occupant of the mega site, that's probably going to take more people in the law enforcement. It's going to take more people in public works. It's going to take more people in construction to build homes and to build plants. So there's going to be more opportunity outside of the government itself for employment. And the easiest way to get people is to get businesses here. And that's just sort of my take on it.
We've got, yes, Patricia.
I'm just going to make a comment. Thank you, Commissioner Green, who happens to be my commissioner. I want to make a statement about the effectiveness of government for people. Your government is only effective as the people that you elect and you. If your current system that you have 2 representatives, I live in a city, so I have an older person and I also have county commission members. If you don't think it's working for you currently, then I think we have to evaluate how can we make it more effective? How can we hold the people who are representing us, now hold them accountable more effective? If you're not receiving the service that you believe that you should be, are you having meetings, are you having discussions that you can hold those individuals accountable? Government will only be effective as the people who receive the services, the people who benefit, and the people who we elect. So I think if we kind of could do what I like about this is that it opens up discussion, opens up a changing in our thinking in terms of the accountability. Sometimes we believe the government is designed to do everything for us, when in actuality there's some things that we have to do for ourselves. And I think that if we continue to elect people who don't represent us well, and who don't serve us well, and who don't provide services for us, then we need to hold those individuals accountable. I'm not aware, Mayor Stravinsky has been in all the sessions about the services that we're receiving, that you're receiving in Stanton, so I can't really comment on whether or not there's going to be an expansion of those services. But I will say, if we believe that we're not being represented properly and as effectively as we would like, then I think it's incumbent upon all of us to decide, how can I do better? What is something else that I can do better? And for me, talk to your older person, talk to your council member and say, I don't feel like I'm getting all the services we need. We're paying taxes. The gentleman here, I'm paying taxes. What am I getting for my services currently? So this government is not going to change that in terms of how we elect people, the quality of the candidates that we have. To me, if you reduce the number of people, then those people really, really need to seek service because they want to better the government. Not because I want a job, not because I'm looking for a title, but because I really want to make Haywood County better. So then we need to look at a number of qualified applicants. I'm like Commissioner Green. that I think we don't have enough people who are under 40, people who are under 50 representing us. The majority of my friends no longer are employed in this county, and they don't live here. And they often ask me, why do you stay in Haywood County? Why do you live here? Because I love the county. So I think those are some things that we have to make a decision on, how we want to better our own quality of life, and then hold those people who we elect accountable for their actions.
As you're coming to a close, like I said earlier, that I was a part of the study, and I think Dr. Sue can verify that I asked the question is, the towns that has went with the government like that, how satisfied were they? We would have different speakers to come in and talk to us about the merger that they had done. And I wanted to know how satisfied were the people that had went through that, because I wanted to bring it back to Stanton to let them know if it had been a really good job done on how much we could accomplish. And then, but I never got that answer.
And that's a tough one. There are 3 counties in the state of Tennessee that are in a metro form of government. One of those being Davidson County, which is one to which we cannot really compare ourselves. That's Nashville. Trousdale County and Moore County. Both initiated
No, you're right.
their attempt to go into a metro form of government, primarily because the neighboring county was fixing to gobble them up. It had to do with, we were fixing to get consumed by another town. We have to protect ourselves. Our situation is so very different. We're not facing any surrounding county coming in to kind of take over us. But I will let Tim Stokely address it, because he spoke with, he was assigned to going to the different places, or interviewing different places to see what their response was on it. So Tim, if you would.
Yeah, I spoke with the mayor in Trousdale, and he mainly stated they were pretty new in it. I think they had just converted over, I believe, about 3 or 4 years ago, I believe. But he talked like similar to what we did. They really didn't spend a lot of money on the front end, digging in deep. But they had seen some advantages to it. Just consolidating different things. So he talked like, they had no plans of trying to reverse it. I mean, they were still green into it 3 or 4 years, but he anticipated no reason to, try to convert back. And we can, we can vote just like we're voting today to reverse Metro and go back to the traditional government too. So, that's something good that I've thought about, that, if we got into it, the Haywood County voted that we should do it, we can always reverse back to traditional government, just like we're looking into going to Metro too, so.
And how would that process go if we wanted to go back? Would we have to have another committee and do all this again?
Given the way that I've seen government work, probably so. But
it would have to be brought up to a referendum.
You'd have a referendum vote, much the same.
You would backtrack the same steps that you did going into it.
One thing that's unique about, and I guess I may have failed to mention this in the intro statements.
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
About what she was saying about holding people accountable. Is there anybody on that from the solid waste department?
On this commission? No, ma'am. No, I don't think there's a single employee of any government. I think that was.
Because like he says, the services out here in Stanton is terrible, and especially the solid waste department.
Well, and that segues. Yeah, it's done by contract. Now, I know that it is contracted out to a third-party contractor, and your waste is picked up. Now, in the county, in the rest of part of the county, you've got the green boxes, and then in the city you have the backdoor pickup. But this segues into what I wanted to say was, what we weren't probably, some of us were maybe aware of this, and some of us were not, but how many different services at present our Haywood County shares with the city of Brownsville. The Parks and Rec Department is funded by the Haywood County. However, the Parks and Rec Department, for the most part, all of us have grandkids, nieces, that kind of thing, that play ball and function. I believe they even have Douglas, they're responsible for that, but they're funded by the county. But many city residents, both here and in the city of Brownsville, use it.
We share some of those.
It's jointly
Yeah,
funded.
it's a joint, okay, the fire department, for example, is another jointly funded operation. The school system, as it is presently, is a consolidated, it's not jointly funded, completely funded by the county. What are some other departments?
Central Dispatch 911.
Central Dispatch is jointly funded, the Ambulance Authority is jointly funded. The only ones that are not jointly funded in essence are your Public Works and your Highway Commission. What else?
Solid waste.
Solid waste. So when you look at that and you start to look at how many things we have been blessed that we get along and have been able to have leaders that help get along. So it wasn't a giant step really to start combining and unifying those efforts with what we thought was a better outcome. Yes, sir.
With respect to the lady that came up earlier, the senior citizens, anybody else, city, county, your taxes are getting ready to go through the roof. Okay? And that's what this is about. Your taxes, man, are getting ready to go through the roof. Not this year, in the next few years, they will. Now, just like he just said, you have no police service. All right? The city of Brownsville or the county is not going to provide it for you. Your tax dollars are not going to pay for that. That comes out of another budget. All right? The fire department, you don't have any of that either. Your taxes are going through the roof, but you don't have fire, you don't have police. What they will do for you is pick up your garbage. Everybody, hello? These are your elected officials. They'll pick up your garbage for you, but they're not going to provide police, fire, or school. You consolidate to the city of county to get to go to school in Brownsville.
Mr. White, with all due respect, I mean, this is the third time that you've talked, and what you said about the taxes getting ready to go through the roof, there's no basis for that. There's no basis in this document or what this commission has decided. And the services that you're talking about, you're incorrect on that as well. I'm not trying to hijack the meeting, Joe,
You
but
haven't told them what I'm correct on,
Well,
or not correct on. They don't know what.
it boils down to who y'all go to the poll and vote for mayor this August for your commissioners. That's what it boils down to. This commission was given a task to write a form of government. That's it. We have nothing to say about how we can raise taxes or lower. We're just as much at our elected officials' mercy as you are. And that was not our goal here tonight to address where your taxes go. It's to give you an opportunity as a citizen to say, I want to read this document. I want to see if it has the potential to where I can make a difference in who I elect. And you can do that whether it passes or not. But I'd like to give, Mayor Stravinsky has asked to close the meeting. If there are not any other comments.
Just one comment. The tax bill against you guys is terribly unpopular in the community.
the tax sale is done by the county tax attorney, which is not here tonight, Will.
Go ahead. Can you give a preparation down here?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Megasite was mentioned one time tonight, and I'm reading from an article that was written back in April of this year. Whether Stanton chooses to opt in or out, their economic development will still be affected. According to our mayor, the 4,000 acres of industrial space purchased by the state, known as the Megasite, could still provide jobs for the town. But if we opt in, the metro government would control all of the mega sites because Stanton would no longer exist. But if we opt out, we would lose our urban growth boundary that extends more than 3,000 acres. Could you explain that to me?
Sure, Louise, I'll be glad to do that. Let me begin by saying thank you all for coming out tonight. I am proud of folks from Stanton because you're involved in your community. I am so proud of y'all for that. And let me brag just a minute. The first one of these we had over in Brownsville at the Justice Complex, I counted 60 people there, right, Carlton? I count 50 people from the Stanton area tonight. We're involved, and I'm darn proud of it. You don't listen to what's going on in the parking lot of the grocery store. You want to hear it for yourselves and make your own mind up, and I'm proud of that. Thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for raising these issues. Stanton is very special. Stanton is special in another way. Stanton is special because we have the chance to say, yeah, we want to go metro, or no, we don't. Brownsville doesn't have that chance. Haywood County doesn't have a chance, but we do. We're special, and I like being special. I like being proud. I'm proud of being from Stanton. Well, let's talk just a little bit about this whole thing. You know, when we talked about a metro government, my first and initial reaction is, oh no, Stanton's gonna get left in the dust. And goodness knows I don't want Stanton to get left in the dust. So early on, I'm just an advisor here, but early on, I asked to speak to this commission, and that night, I poured my heart and my concerns out to this commission. And they listened. They heard the concerns of Stanton about being left in the dust. So what they have agreed to do is put in the addendum that Stanton will stand shoulder to shoulder with Brownsville. All the services in Brownsville that they get, Stanton's going to get too.
All right. Hold them accountable for that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If we choose to go metro, that's what's going to happen. But those things don't come free. Those things come as a cost. Right now, we all pay the same tax rate, $2.86, whatever it is in the county. We all pay that. If you live in Stanton, you pay an extra $1.24. If you live in Brownsville, you pay an extra $1.80. Well, guess what, y'all? If we get the same services as Brownsville, we're going to have to pay the same level as Brownsville. And that means Stanton itself, city taxes are going to go up 50% if we use the current tax structure. That's the first thing I want you to think about. I've only got 3 things. There's a bunch of stuff, but these are the 3 things I want you to think about. So Stanton taxes will go up 50%. Do you want that? It comes with services, but you got to pay for the services. That's a decision we need to make. The second thing is about the folks who represent you. Currently in Stanton, we have 5 people, 4 aldermen and a mayor, who are responsible to respond to your concerns about the garbage, or the concerns about, I'm walking to the post office and there's some pretty ugly looking dogs running around here. We got all those things going on, and we have 5 people who are responsible to respond to the concerns of this community. Your voice is heard by 5 people. If we go metro, Stanton will be represented by 1 commissioner. That 1 commissioner is not responsible exclusively for Stanton. That person is responsible for Stanton, Haywood County, and part of Brownsville as well. So we have to make a decision. Do we want our voices to be heard by 5, or do we want to be heard by part of 1 commissioner? That's the second thing. The third thing we need to think about is in the last 4 years, we, Stanton, have exclusively gotten $3.5 million in grants to improve our community. Half of that's already been spent, and the other half is fixing to be spent this year. We're making progress. We've cleaned this place up. We've built houses for the poor folks. Will, we've done all kinds of stuff. We got more to go.
You refuse to help the poor man with his water.
Well, we'll talk about that, Will. So what we've got to think about is, do we think that in a metro form of government, will $3.5 million be exclusively targeted to Stanton for grants? Those are the things that we need to think about. Those are the facts. You make your own decision, because you're going to do that anyway, and I'm proud of you for that. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. Thank you much for hearing for yourself right from the horse's mouth. I guess I'm a horse now. And you make your own mind up. I am proud of Stanton. I'm glad you came tonight. Thank you very much.
Again, we would like to thank all of you for coming out and being in attendance tonight. And we have another scheduled meeting for January 16th. It'll be at the Justice Complex in Brownsville at 6 o'clock p.m. And we also have a meeting for the January 30th. It will be at Willow Grove Baptist Church on Highway 70 East. So come out, be informed, voice your opinions. The power rests in the people. So make sure you come out and attend all of them. That's not commission, that's different. And January the 3rd, February the 3rd, we'll be at Douglas Community Center at 6 o'clock.
Again, we thank you. If you would like to have a synopsis, they're here at the table for you to get. If you'd like the pleasure of reading 36 pages of lawyer speak in the charter, they're here for you to get. And we thank you that you came out and voiced your opinion tonight. Thank you.
I got to drive to Tullahoma tonight.
Ooh, fun.